If you want to make more money in sales, you have to become more emotionally intelligent. This video is going to explore emotional intelligence from a psychological perspective, and this is for beginners all the way to those of you who are advanced at emotional intelligence. Stick around. I define emotional intelligence in selling as the ability to not just accept, but to embrace any emotion that comes up within the sales process and use it to the benefit of all parties. Now, for those of you who want to dive into the deep end of the pool and learn even more about emotional intelligence, I recommend this book, Making Contact, Uses of Language and Psychotherapy by Leston Havens. This is the deep end of the pool, and be warned, if you check it out, you'll never be the same. But for those of you that just want to get started, I'm going to share with you some tips right now to become immediately more emotionally intelligent. The first thing you need to do to become more emotionally intelligent in your sales process is to anticipate the needs of the person that you're selling to. Now, this can sound extremely basic, but it's something that we often forget in our sales career. I'll just give you a quick example. If you are used to seeing leads show up on your calendar or booking meetings, and you're used to showing up to meetings and just going through your normal process, keep in mind that your prospect isn't. And just because this is a routine for you does not mean it's routine for them. So you have to consistently ask yourself this question: what might they be concerned about or fearful of or wondering about as they jump onto this particular sales call? Another nuance to modern buyers is they want to see and hear things at the same time. So if you're just talking to them on the phone call and they're not seeing anything, you're not sending them anything, if they're not seeing your screen, they often get a little bit anxious because they're used to seeing, listening, and scrolling all over the place. So we want to be able to know that that is something that's going on with the modern buyer right now. So keep in mind that they might be fearful that you're going to waste their time, they might be already busy, they might be stressed, they might be concerned that this might not work for them. There's all sorts of things going on within the brain of your modern buyer. Keep in mind not just to anticipate the needs of your prospect before call number one, anticipate the needs of your prospect and what they might be going through behind the scenes throughout your entire sales process. Another thing that you're going to want to do is notice the pace that they're setting. As somebody shows up to a phone call or any sort of a sales appointment with you, you can often hear in their voice the amount of tension that they're bringing to the table, the amount of urgency that they're feeling. So make sure that if you can notice that they are feeling tension in that moment, not to just slow it down too much and make them feel like, oh no, this meeting is going to drag on and I'm too stressed to handle this right now. Make sure that you appropriately calibrate to that person. And if they're stressed, make sure to let them know that you're excited to help them and you're going to help them efficiently. If they're relaxed, make sure that you don't just jump out of the bushes and scare them with all of your enthusiasm. So notice the pace that they're on and start to synchronize with their pace. As you get into the sales conversation, there's going to be some topics that you're wondering, can I ask about this right now? For example, budget. A lot of salespeople are afraid to ask, is there budget for this? Or how big is your budget? And anything that you're afraid to ask, you can just simply ask if you can ask that question. So you might say, hey, I'm wondering, would it be appropriate for me to ask about budget? Could I ask that question? And that'll help you feel more comfortable with asking that question. It'll also make them more comfortable and give them permission to set up a boundary right there or allow them to share openly. Another aspect of emotional intelligence is gauging with each new topic that comes up, how open is the other person to talking about this particular subject. So somebody may be willing to talk about the technical and logistical challenges that they're facing with this product or service that you help them with, but they may be less open to talking about their timeline or their urgency personally with solving it, or how it's impacting them and their personal frustrations around it. They also, even if they're talking about how it's impacting them personally, they may not talk about some of their other stakeholders and how their boss feels about this, or if they have budget. So just because somebody is open with you right off the bat doesn't mean you can immediately just ask really difficult, tough, confrontational questions throughout the process. Every time you get to a new subject, make sure you're gauging, is this person truly comfortable enough with me and on this particular topic for me to engage them with it and ask them direct questions, or should I ask them some more indirect questions and measure if they feel comfortable and then start to ask those next layers of deeper questions. You see, different topics in people's psychology have different levels of barriers protecting them. So some subjects, like the technical aspects of your product, it may feel like you're just digging through sand and you're easily breaking through and making great connection and getting progress. You're digging into that sales process with them. But you also may be hearing layers of all of a sudden I've hit some rock. I've hit a hard point in the conversation that, wow, they're really sensitive about this, or they seem to be kind of closed off. A way to know if they're closed off is if they are feeling a little bit evasive with you, like you ask them a question and they quickly give you a very short answer when earlier in the conversation they were elaborating more. Sometimes they may defensively make a joke about a subject. And humor, psychologically, is a way of processing emotion. So sometimes when somebody's joking about something, that's a hot topic for them. And you need to continue to joke back and start to release the pressure around this topic and then laugh your way through it and ask those next layers of questions. But just because you're feeling some initial resistance that somebody's not willing to talk about something that's important for you to know in order to really help them and sell to them appropriately, make sure that you stay there and you use different tools, you use different techniques to be able to break through and get to that next layer of conversation. It just takes more trust, more empathy, more emotional intelligence. A more advanced technique that most top salespeople use is they treat their prospects like friends early on in the sales process. People don't want to be treated so professionally and so businessy. It's a common myth that we need to be extra professional and extra businessy in every single meeting. It's more impressive to other people that you're doing business with to be more yourself, to be more relaxed, and treat the people around you like friends. That means you might be the first one to make a joke with them. That means you might be the first ones to bring up something personal or talk about a feeling that maybe seems kind of weird to bring up in a business setting that you're feeling. The more real you are with them, like you are with your friends, the more real they're going to feel with you, and the more likely it is that they're going to be honest with you, enjoy the sales process, and continue that relationship for the long term. Now, for brand new people, this is something you want to be careful with, because if you start to build a friendship with them and you're trying to act more like you act with your friends, but your relationships with your friends are a little bit more immature, you definitely don't want to bring that to the table. So again, this is for very nuanced top salespeople and people that really want to get to the next level. As long as you can bring a sense of professionalism and a hang loose friendship to the table, you'll be extremely effective. The last and most advanced technique, this is something you're only going to be able to pull off as you get more experienced in your sales career and get more experienced in your sales conversations. Now, this is something that you're going to do when you're being truly connected to your prospect. You're going to start to feel your body. You'll start to feel tension in your legs. You'll start to feel your hands twitching, or you'll start to feel a shortness of breath. You'll start to feel some tension within you. And that'll be your measurement stick to understand that your prospect is feeling tension on a certain topic. This sounds extremely abstract, but this is in fact what the best psychotherapists and therapists do, because there's not a great way to get into the psychology of the people that you're working with. So the brain has a really great ability to do that for you. As you start to really synchronize with your prospect and you start to notice how your body's feeling, as you're going through your conversation, you're going to have a really great meter of how people are feeling and how to work with those emotions, set them at ease, and make them feel comfortable throughout the entire selling process. And just because you're feeling tension and recognize there's tension in the sales conversation does not mean that that tension is your enemy. In fact, tension is often your friend, but you want to know that that tension is there and work with that tension to help that prospect feel some of the pain and some of the emotion that they're in around that subject, and have that tension become a launch pad for them to make a change. So just because we're talking about making it smooth and guiding people through a very great process emotionally doesn't mean that they're not feeling anything negative. You want to take people through a process with you that it's a lot like a hero's journey in a movie. If you're just watching a movie and it's relaxing the whole time, you're just going to fall asleep. The movies that you remember are the movies that took you through an experience where you're excited and then sad and then angry and then feeling vindicated, and you feel feelings of revenge and all sorts of emotions. So emotions are not bad. As I mentioned when I started this video, emotional intelligence in selling is about accepting and embracing and utilizing every emotion in the human experience to benefit the sales process. So don't be afraid of any emotions. When you're selling, make sure that you're aware of the emotions that your prospect's feeling and use all of those emotions to your benefit and to theirs.